Talamuana Warriors, what is up YouTube? Guys, I'm going to show you today a little difference between Crit Multiplier, Elemental Overload, and Resolute Technique, and which one you should take for your build that you were kind of theory crafting, kind of seeing, hey, where can I get the most bang out of my buck from the skill tree or various items I'm taking. Before we get too much into it though, I want to give a special shout out to Resolute. Riff from the Reddit team has helped me quite a bit as far as show me some of the equations, you know, teach me along the way in regards to this specific topic. So special shout out to him. And guys, it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Originally coming into this, I kind of wanted to make a crit heavy build, and I was kind of torn between, hey, should I just take Elemental Overload, get that 40% increased damage, or should I actually stick to, you know, investing a whole lot into multi? And whenever we're getting into crit multi or pure crit build, you got to invest all the way. If you're gonna go crit multi, then focus on getting as much multiplier as you can. I'm gonna go ahead and bring up a chart real quick. Boom. I did not make this chart, guys. Full disclosure, it came from a Reddit post I found, which I will post down below in the link, so you can either screenshot this now, have it on your phone and or computer, or you can just click the link down below and you can actually access to this chart because it is super helpful. I do know that a lot of you guys are also gonna say, hey, why don't I just path to build it? You can always just boom, bring up your path to building and see which one gives you more DPS. But at the end of the day, whenever you're theory crafting, whenever you're theory building a new character, I kind of like to know which way I want to go before I just start investing into a certain character type. So if I know I'm going to go a character with Elemental Overload, then I can kind of craft a tree toward that. If I know I'm going to go a character with pure crit, then I can also build toward that and then not go back and realize, oh, you know what, I probably should have just taken this node instead and gotten a lot more DPS. Essentially saves a little bit more time to at least know the basic understanding behind it. So going back into the chart, as you can see, the red here, it shows you the crit chance versus the crit multi. You have to invest in order for it to be worthwhile to go multi. So if you only got about 5% crit chance with 150 crit multiplier, it's probably not really, you're probably not gonna really get a whole lot of bang for your buck by taking just the pure crit route, versus just go ahead and grab in the Elemental Overload. Whereas if you do have a higher crit multiplier with a average to higher crit chance, and guys, this is also, bear in mind, accuracy does come into play here. You do have to land the hit in order to crit, of course. And this is also based on the Elemental Overload has in fact landed and has been procced. So let's go ahead and bring up what the Elemental Overload node says. 40% more elemental damage if you have crit in the past 8 seconds, and then no crit strike multiplier exists anymore. So if you do decide to take Elemental Overload, you no longer get your multiplier. That's why if you do have the capability of critting, but you just can't quite invest into the multiplier nodes, or you can't get enough gear that gives you that multiplier, a lot of times it's just easier to take this. You just have to hit a crit within the last 8 seconds in order to proc it, and then you get that 40% increased damage. And like I said before, that chart's going to tell you if it's worth it versus actually going the multiplier route. Easy, simple. Honestly, at the end of the day, you just look at what you have. You look at your effective crit chance. You look at what your multiplier is, compare it on the chart. If it says Elemental Overload works, I'll just go that avenue of approach. Super easy, super simple. Now the next one I'm going to talk about is Resolute Technique. Your hits can't be evaded, but you never deal a crit chance, or crit strike, excuse me. So what this means is all of your hits are gonna land. You've got 100% accuracy. So what that means though is you also can't crit. So you theoretically can't take Elemental Overload and Resolute Technique at the same time. Obviously, because if you can't crit, then you can't proc Elemental Overload. So it's kind of a choice, you know, which one do I take? Do I want to for sure land all of my hits, guaranteed that initial hit impact, especially if I've got a faster build, such as a, I don't know, Cyclone or various other builds that land a lot of hits really fast? Which one's going to be a lot smarter to take? Now, in this case, a lot of times people just say, hey, path to build it. But something to kind of go, if you want to get a little bit more in the know on it, yes, that is obviously the better way of doing it. You can just boom, see which one gives you the higher DPS. But you also have to factor in there what type of Cyclone you may have. Like for me, for example, I've got the Nagamahu's flame. So I've got a couple other things kind of going into the mix here. So I've got Molten Burst being triggered. I've got a Firestorm coming up, or in this case, Molten Shell at the moment. Or say I've got Aberrath's Boots on my feet, so I'm actually doing a couple other skills as well. That's also going to play into it. Now, while I go in to start explaining this, I'm going to go ahead and put on a little bit of a recording here, so that way you got a little bit of eye candy while I'm while I'm kind of talking a little bit more about this. So, if you've got a little bit of fizz, and special shout out to Riff for kind of breaking it down a lot easier way for me, is if you deal non 100% elemental conversion, a lot of times people take the Resolute Technique option, because if you're a full conversion and you're doing at least 80 to 82% accuracy, then proccing the elemental overload shouldn't be too much of an issue, and you're actually getting a lot more DPS out of it. But if you're doing, I would say, half of your damage, or even honestly down to 25% of your damage is fizz, the rest of elemental, and your accuracy is, I would say, below 78 or so, then a lot of people do take that Resolute Technique node, especially since if you are, let's say, a duelist, marauder, or something on that side of the skill tree, it's a lot easier to go ahead and just grab that node and get that added DPS instead of pathing all the way up and grabbing something like Elemental Overload, which may not even give you that extra DPS anyway, and those other nodes could be utilized elsewhere. So a good thing to kind of think about is if you're 100% Elemental Overload, and then you at that point take it over to the chart. If your crit chance versus crit multi don't add up to give you more damage, Elemental Overload. But if you do have a pretty good crit chance and you do have that crit multi that's going to scale over that 40%, then absolutely. And like I said, if you are going to go crit multi, it is super juicy, but you gotta go deep in there. You gotta go full multi. And guys, like, yes, there is all kinds of equations out there, and I know a lot of you guys can be like, oh, well, you just do this, add times this, whatnot, and another. But I'm trying to break it down bare bones, so that way the newest players coming in can understand it. And I'm trying to break it down to a point where if I just started as my first league, what are these things? I'm trying to break it down such as that, make it simple terms. Yes, there are alternate ways or methods of explaining it and ways to kind of prove which one beats the other. This is just the most simple, basic way of doing it, so that way, because I know personally when I first started, I was like, man, why would anyone ever choose this over that? And then the light bulb started triggering, and, you know, having learned from the rest of the community, hey, you know what, this makes a lot of sense. This is an easy way of telling to take this node over this node, or go just pure crit versus, you know, just going and grabbing the elemental overload. So hopefully this guy's helped you. And I know it's been a huge learning experience for me as well. If you guys have any added information about this, by all means, post it in the comments. Hop into our Discord server. Be like, Scottoria, did you know about this? Or what do you think about this? Or if you actually have questions of maybe your build, if you're still on the unknown as to whether or not you think you should take Elemental Overload, or if you should go Resolute Technique. By all means, hop in there, ask me. And like I said, guys, Path to Billion is a monster tool. It's a fantastic, probably the most useful tool you'll get in this game. So I'm gonna have the link for that down below as well. You can import your build. You can test out to see which one actually gives you the higher DPS. And I advise you to learn why. Don't just take whichever one gives you more DPS and then just be like, all right, that's the one that gives me more DPS. Actually look at the calculations and do the equations and say, all right, so why is it that this node is what's giving me that DPS over this? Because then that's also going to kind of help you analyze what gear you take, what you want on your gear. Should I get this accurate? Do I need accuracy? What it is that I need to scale, and so on and so forth. So without further ado, guys, sorry you guys couldn't see me finish the rest of this map. But let's hop over to the office. If you haven't already, follow me over at twitch.tv/Scottoria. You can see some live stream coverage. And then, hey, you know what? If you haven't subscribed down below, make sure you guys click that like and sub button if you want to see some more content. And then at Clash Scottoria over on Twitter, you can see whenever I do go live, whenever I do drop new videos. At the moment, it's a little bit on the inconsistent side. I am a U.S. Army paratrooper, so I've been spending a lot of time in the field recently, so I'm trying to be live as much as possible and drop as many videos, you know, whenever I get the opportunity to. But hey, you know, sometimes it's a little bit the off tempo is a little bit off. So discord.gg/thekillsquad, all one word. Hop in there. Feel free to ask questions, or honestly give me feedback, or if there's a video that you're wanting to know, like if you want to know some, hey, what's a great way to make more currency, I'm more than happy to show you and help you, and vice versa. You help me learn something too. So appreciate y'all for tuning in. I'll see you again very soon.